Hello, Conrad and Lucy and Caleb. Papa is back to continue the story that began in the last issue when the Fantastic Four were trapped on an island by the Frightful Four. The Frightful Four escaped, but the Fantastic Four had to face the mighty explosion of a Q bomb. How did they survive? Only with the force field of the Invisible Girl. But what transpires later is going to begin a dramatic saga that will change the lives of the Fantastic Four forever. Let's see what happens. All right, here's the cover of the story. We've got the Fantastic Four here, but they're being led by Daredevil, who is Marvel's blind superhero. How's that going to work? We'll find out. And look, we see that they're being threatened by their most powerful, deadliest enemy, Doctor Doom. But before we get to that part of the story, we need to return to the open sea where the Fantastic Four have just been rescued by the U.S. Navy that were passing by at just the right time. You see they're in a raft being carried up into the hold by the seamen. All right, there's the Invisible Girl. There's Mr. Fantastic. There's the Torch. But look, who's that? It's Ben Grimm, and he's returned to his human form. That does not bode well for our heroes. This fella says, looks like we found them just in time. They couldn't have lasted much longer on the open sea. This sailor says, take them to the infirmary. The medics are standing by to do what they can. Easy with her, mate. I'll lend you a hand. Everybody wants to help carry Sue Storm to safety. All right, here's what the editors say as they catch us up with the story. Last issue, we saw the FF narrowly escape death on a lonely island when a nuclear explosion occurred, while their deadly enemies, the Wingless Wizard, Sandman, the Trapster, and Madame Medusa, who choose to call themselves the Frightful Four, they escaped with seconds to spare. Reed, Ben, Sue, and Johnny took the full brunt of the explosion, protected only by Sue Storm's life-saving invisible force field. For more than 24 hours, the FF drift helplessly on the high seas until a searching atomic sub finds them at last. Moments later, they're stretched out on cots in the infirmary. This officer says, what power on earth could possibly have done this to the Fantastic Four? Another officer says they're suffering from extreme exposure and exhaustion. They need complete rest and isolation. While this sailor says, what happened to the Thing? He looks as human as anyone else. Although sleep comes at once to the FF, it is the tortured, nightmarish sleep of those who can never forget a terrible memory. Reed cries out, Sue, Ben, Johnny, look out! Look out for the bomb! It's about to explode! We've got to flee the island! Hurry! Into the ship! Hurry! It's too late! The Frightful Four have trapped us here! There's no escape! Your force field is our only hope, Sue, but can it protect us from the bomb? Whoom! The Q-bomb explodes with great power and devastation. All right, back in the infirmary, the officer says, Richards, wake up, man. You've been having a nightmare. You're safe aboard the U.S. nuclear sub Seahawk. Now, you're all safe. And he says, safe? How can we be safe when we've changed so? Changed? Do you know how they've changed? The next morning, a sailor is serving them a breakfast. He says, say, Mr. Fantastic, would you stretch your arm to reach some food so I can tell the other gobs I saw you do it? They don't respond. What's the matter? Did I say something wrong? Ben says, beat it, sailor. If you're looking for laughs, go tickle yourself. The sailor says, sorry, Mr. Grimm. I didn't mean any harm. Ben says, I know you didn't, sailor. We just ain't in the mood for clowning around right now. Finally, when they're alone, Ben says, one of us has got to say it. We've lost our powers, all of us. Sue realizes it's true. Johnny asks, Reed, what'll we do? Without our powers, we're nothing. Reed says, I know it, Johnny. I know it. For the remainder of the voyage home, little is said among the four downhearted adventurers. There is little that can be said until they return to Reed's world-famous lab, each wrapped up in his own gloomy thoughts, each contemplating the future with grim foreboding. Ben says, who are you kidding with all that research? There's no way for us to get back our powers, and you know it. Sue says, it's true, darling. Is the Fantastic Four finished forever? Reed says, not if I can help it, Sue. Johnny says, why don't we just sit tight and give old Reed a chance? Give him a chance because we know he is the smartest brain on earth, and if anyone can do it, Reed can. Finally, after days of preparation, they plunge into their newest, their most difficult project with savage desperation, the project they call Operation Artificial Powers. Sue says, Reed, darling, it's impossible. You can't duplicate the fantastic powers we lost when the bomb's radiation affected us. Reed says, I've got to do it, Sue, for our own protection. If our enemies ever learn what happened to us, our lives won't be worth a nickel. And so he's working on an apparatus for Sue. Down here, Ben is looking over a Thing robot. He says, it's still hard to believe that I used to look like this robot of the Thing. Johnny says, it's funny what a guy can get used to, Ben. I was beginning to think old Orange Skin was actually cute looking. And what's Johnny putting on? Some kind of green suit. We'll find out. There they are, all of them trying to recreate their powers artificially. Reed says, cut the conversation, all of you. Every minute counts. Johnny, ignite your suit. Wow, that's what that green suit is for flames. Johnny says, I've got to hand it to you, Reed. The flame jets in this outfit feel almost as good as my own natural flame used to feel. I'm not interested in your feelings, boy, says Reed. Let me see you fly. Johnny thinks, whew, I've never seen Reed so serious or so rough. I'd better buckle down. So he attempts to fly. He says, I can do it, but it feels kind of wobbly. I can't stay aloft, Johnny says. Look out. Reed says, don't quit, kid. We're not playing games now. Keep practicing till you get it. Your life may depend on it. Ben says, hey, Reed, what about me? You? Asks Reed. Now let's see. What did I have in mind for you? Ben says, look, fella, you haven't rested for days. You can't keep driving yourself this way. Why don't you? No, answers Reed. We can't stop now. Grab that robot control. Manipulate it the way I tell you to. Okay, says Ben, if you say so. Reed says, easy, easy. Don't jam the mechanism. Make believe you're actually him. Try to feel like the thing. Blast it, exclaims Ben. I'm no good at this kind of stuff. Reed says, well, start getting good, mister. You've got no choice. And so look at the robot. He's moving, he's slugging, but looks very awkward. Sue admits the entire idea of using artificial means to duplicate our own powers is a mad one. And Johnny answers, yet if anyone can pull it off, Reed can. And we all know it, sis. Ben says, hey, Reed, I forgot how to stop the blame thing. What do I do now? And so the robot thing is crashing right into the wall. Crash! And we see that the thing robot is very strong and powerful, just out of control. Reed says, reverse the vector lever. Ben, listen to me, you clumsy bumbler. Give me that control. Now, don't blow a gasket, Stretch. I did my best, says Ben, but maybe you better hire a puppeteer. Reed says, no, only you can know what the thing would do under any given circumstance. It must be you who operates the robot. And so there's the robot collapsed on the floor in the midst of all the debris. Ben says, okay, I'll keep practicing till I get it, which will probably be never. Reed sits down in the chair and sighs. Maybe I have bitten off more than I can chew. Maybe it is an impossible plan. No, Reed, says Sue, you mustn't say that. You're our strength, our courage. If you ever falter, then we have nothing. Here, I'll try my electro-vibra suit you've designed for me. I've been studying the control buttons. Careful, darling, says Reed. You're not spacing the impulses correctly. Smoother, do it smoother. I can still see you, but perhaps with more practice. And so the idea is that if she vibrates herself fast enough, she'll become invisible. Not very invisible, though. Now, Reed says, try the artificial built-in force field. That's it. Now, harder, harder. Sue says, I can't. I have it set at maximum now. Oh, Reed, how can we ever hope to duplicate the power of nature? So look, that apparatus creates a force field around her. Reed says, we can't, Sue, but we've got to find a way to imitate nature enough to keep our enemies from suspecting how powerless we've become. But, Sue answers, sooner or later the truth will leak out, and when it does, we'll be helpless. What a life, says Ben. When we first got our powers a few years ago, we hated them, and now we feel naked and helpless without them. Meanwhile, our scene changes as we visit an imperial castle in the heart of Latveria, a tiny kingdom nestled deep within the Bavarian Alps. Who is the king on the throne? His initials are DD. Look at the armor. Yeah, we know who that is. It's Dr. Doom. He is the king of Latveria. He says, leave me. I have no desire for food now. Throw it to the pigs. The servant says, as you wish, Excellency. And look, here's someone performing a magic trick. You, magician, stop your act. I have seen enough. I am no longer amused by your amateurish display of mediocrity. But sire, answers the magician, I have not yet given my demonstration of the art of hypnotism. Hypnotism. Bah! Can such a petty talent impress Dr. Doom, the man who defeated the Fantastic Four? But finish your act and then be gone. You begin to bore me. Do you remember that story in The Victory of Dr. Doom? I'm sure you do. Look what's happening. The magician is hypnotizing Dr. Doom, but he's finding a hypnotic spell already there. Let's listen to what he says. I shall demonstrate how easily a subject may be. Excellency, I do not understand. You are already under hypnosis. I can sense this. I can sense it. But wait, I seem to be dissolving the spell. You're coming out of it. A fog seems to be lifting from my brain. Slowly, my memory is returning. That day, long months ago, when I battled Reed Richards, I remember it now. He tricked me. I didn't defeat him. He only hypnotized me to think I did, so that I would never battle him again. Never has such indignity been heaped upon Dr. Doom. Only death can avenge the insult, the death of the Fantastic Four. To think it took a petty charlatan like you to free me from Richard's hypnotic spell. Ah, sire, says the magician, in your gratitude I trust you will reward your humble servant most generously. Not likely. Gratitude? Such weak words are not for Dr. Doom. Here is your reward. Be grateful I do not put you to death for knowing how I have been tricked. And so he slaps the magician and knocks him away. He's angry at Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four. Without another word, the ominous figure who is absolute ruler of his remote kingdom enters a unique gyroscopic aircraft of his own design, and then he flies off. Destination, Fantastic Four. He says, their plan was a brilliant one. If I thought I had defeated them, I would never bother to attack them again. Thus they were safe from me. Safe, that is, until now. What will the Fantastic Four do? They have no powers, and they're being threatened by their most powerful enemy ever. Our scene now shifts to a lonely warehouse in New York the next morning. We find Matt Murdock, the well-known, sightless attorney, cautiously entering. He thinks, I don't understand. Why would the Fantastic Four ask me to meet them here? I've been their lawyer ever since Electro tried to take over their headquarters. That was back a long time ago. I think that I read you some early Daredevil stories. But they've never asked me to come to a place like this. And so here comes a stretching hand. How is it that Mr. Fantastic can stretch his arm again? He says, we're in the back, Murdock. Follow my hand. It will lead you to us. There! That's the reason for Mr. Fantastic's stretching hand. He's using elongated robot arms. Reed says, glad you could make it, Counselor. We have something vitally important to discuss with you. Matt Murdock is blind, but the radioactive accident that caused his blindness accelerated all his other senses. So he has radar that helps him to see what's there, even without use of his eyes. He has increased hearing, smell, and he's also very agile and powerful. And so he realizes they've changed. They think I don't know it, but I can sense that they're not the same. Reed hollers to Ben, look out, we almost collided there. Make your voice deeper when you use the audio ejector. Blast it, says Ben. I just can't make my voice sound like it used to. Johnny is flying around and he says, Reed, I'm getting the hang of it again. Sue says to Reed, says to Ben, keep trying, Ben. We all have to. Matt Murdock thinks something terrible must have happened to them. They're in great danger. They need help. Reed says, "Now listen carefully, Murdoch. There isn't much time, and whatever I tell you is confidential. If anything should happen to us, you have our power of attorney. I want to be sure that all my scientific notes are given to the government and that the work of our charitable foundation will be continued." Matt says, "Of course, Mr. Richards, but in the meantime, what sort of trouble are you in? Perhaps I can help." Reed says, "I appreciate your offer, counselor, but we'll have to see it through by ourselves." But then suddenly, an explosion! Someone's attacking us. Reed says, "Murdoch, this is no place for you. Try to escape. It isn't your problem." But this concussive explosion knocks them all backwards. Reed says, "Whoever caused that explosion is just toying with us. It wasn't powerful enough to cause serious injury, but it's knocked them up against the wall." And he says, "Now we're being peppered with small stun blasts, just strong enough to keep us off balance." See, the blasts are bursting on one side and then another, and Reed is being knocked about. Oh no, here comes a section of the wall is falling down. Reed hollers, "Ben, only the Thing's strength can help us now. Ben, do you hear me?" Yeah, says Ben, "shut up and let me concentrate." And so he has his robot moving toward the wall. Sue says, "Who can it be? Who could attack us here?" Sue is in danger as the wall threatens her. But the robot gets there just in time to hold it up. Ben says, "When I find out, I'll let you know. Now run for cover while I hold this blamed wall up." Sue says, "Wonderful, you sounded just like the Thing." Well, the sound isn't what's important, it's the strength of the Thing holding up the wall. But Sue is able to escape. Ben says, "Who'd you expect me to sound like? Gomer Pyle? Shazam!" Well, golly! No, really, he says, "Oh, I can't hold it any longer." And he falls beneath the weight of the wall. But, unnoticed among the confusion and carnage, a new figure suddenly appears. Where Matt Murdoch, sightless lawyer, had just stood, a lightning-fast change of clothes now reveals Daredevil, the man without fear. He thinks something has happened to the FF. They've lost their natural powers. I can help them more as Daredevil than as their lawyer now. And so the Fantastic Four have an ally, Daredevil. Even though he's a blind man, he shall lead them. Although deprived of the gift of sight, the fearless adventurer's other senses are so highly developed that no living being has ever suspected that Daredevil is actually a blind man. Spat! Something strikes the torch. He collapses. Daredevil says, "That sound, the torch is hurt." But Daredevil is able to leap and save him. Johnny says, "My flame's gone out. I can't," but hey, what? Daredevil says, "Quiet, don't struggle. I'll carry you out of harm's way." But Johnny needs to be quiet so that Daredevil can hear noises of what's going around him. Reed says, "Daredevil, I don't know where you came from, but you certainly are welcome." Daredevil says, "You're being attacked. By whom?" Reed answers, "Your guess is as good as mine, fella, but we'd better get out of here. If only there was more light so we could see." Daredevil says, "There isn't time to hunt for a light source. Follow my voice. I'll lead you out. Come on." Reed says, "Sue, Ben, Johnny, do as he says." But he thinks, how does he do it? How can he see in the dark when we can't? Well, it's because he's always in the dark, but his senses can guide him, and he can guide the others. Guided by his infallible radar sense, Daredevil guides the valiant quartet out of the besieged warehouse. Then, gazing skyward, they suddenly discover Daredevil thinks, I sense a source of almost unlimited power above us, an evil, uncontrollable force. Reed says, look, up there, atop the Baxter building. Sue asks, what can it be? Ben says, if it's what I think it is, our troubles are just beginning. Johnny says, you can say that again, Big Ben. Reed realizes it's an aircraft more advanced than any in use on Earth today. It's either a ship from outer space or something equally dangerous, a product of the only other human brain capable of creating such a craft, the brain of Doctor Doom. And so they look up, and out of the window they see their arch enemy gazing out at them with a powerful weapon in his hands. What will he do? He will attack the Fantastic Four as vigorously as he can. And what will the Fantastic Four do? How will they respond to this powerful threat without their powers? Well, they'll do it with the help of a blind superhero, Daredevil. Even though they don't know he's blind, they recognize that he's fully capable of leadership and assistance in their hour of need. I can't wait to read the rest of the story. We'll do that during our next time together. Are you enjoying this story? Y'all hang in with me. Bye for now.